Okay, so on today's agenda, we're going to start with introduction to. Sorry, we're starting with data cleaning. But on the agenda, first on the agenda is introduction to data cleaning. The second is benefits of data cleaning. Third is common data quality issues, and fourth is data cleansing techniques. So in the past few weeks, we've talked about how you can basically like get data, where you can get data from, and stuff. So now that you've actually collected this data never comes clean, unless you're getting it from like maybe like cargo or some like websites where data usually comes clean and all. But for the most part, your data never comes clean. So you would have to clean it by yourself. The second part is benefits of data cleaning. Third, common data quality issues. Fourth, data cleaning techniques. Yeah, so these are the things we'll be focusing on for today. So for today's icebreaker, last week we were ranting basically on how Nigeria has shown us shiggy. But this week I wanted us to take a more grateful approach. So one after the other, you would unmute your mic and just say something you are grateful for this week. It could be anything. It could be as simple as the fact that rain fell and the rain did not beat you. So that can be something you're grateful for. So we'll take turns and let's start with Emmanuel.
Right. Good morning once again. I think one thing I'm grateful for is for the gift of being alive, basically, like the fact that I'm alive, what I'm grateful for. And
Okay, that's
also,
fantastic.
one more thing is being able to events, this boot camp, something to be grateful for. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Emmanuel. And we're
You're
grateful
welcome.
to have you here as well.
Yeah, thank you.
So next person please.
Hello, Joy and Emmanuel. I think the first thing
Hi.
also that I'm grateful for this morning is for being alive, and also for being healthy, and also I am grateful for being hopeful about my future. That I know that it's going to turn out well through this data and analysis skills that I'm hoping to gain at the end of it. Thank you.
You're welcome. So Ademola, please. If you're speaking, we can't hear you. Mm, okay, so we can't exactly hear Demola, but we'll just go ahead. Okay, let me say something I am grateful for this week. This week I would say I'm grateful for my support system. I'm grateful for my friends. I'm grateful for my family. I'm just grateful for people that just help me and keep me grounded when um things are probably not going the way they're supposed to, or um just when life is lifing basically. I'm just glad that I have people around me to support me. I'm really grateful for that. So moving on. Data cleaning. So data cleaning is also known as data cleansing, or some people call it data scrubbing, whichever you whichever makes you happy. But data cleaning is like the most common word everybody uses. Let's say words, because there are two. And it is an essential step basically in the data preparation process. It involves identifying, correcting, or removing errors and inconsistencies or accuracies in a data set. So basically, when you get a data set, when you collect a data set, you can get data sets through different ways. You can get it from an SQL database, you can get it from a spreadsheet, like an Excel spreadsheet. You can get your data set from the cloud. You can get your data set from like websites like Cargo and the rest. You can also get your data set from APIs, from consuming APIs. Different ways you can get your data set. But this data set does not always come clean. Sometimes there are mistakes, sometimes there are inconsistencies, sometimes there are inaccuracies. Some things could just go wrong, right, with your data set. And it's important that you clean it. Data cleaning is a critical step in the data preparation phase, and it involves correcting data entry mistakes, handling missing values, removing duplicates records, and addressing outliers. It plays a crucial mistake in ensuring the accuracy, reliability, usability of data for analysis and decision making. Um, I'm not sure if you've heard this thing where they say like to it's better for you to be on the right road and moving slowly than for you to be on the wrong road and moving with speed. Right. So that is what like data cleaning is. If your data is wrong, no matter how much dashboards you build, how beautiful everything looks, all of that, it would not make sense because what you did was just rubbish. Basically, your insights are wrong, your your insights are wrong, your calculations are wrong. Every other thing is going to be wrong as far as your data is not good. So data cleaning is something that you could say is the most important process, one of the most important process in data analysis. And another beautiful thing about data cleaning is data cleaning is also the longest process besides maybe data gathering. So with data gathering, you probably need to go and be collecting survey from one compound to another compound and all of that. Hopefully you don't have to do that. Um, but in a situation where you have to be cleaning data that you got from whatever source, data cleaning is usually the most time consuming thing you can do. It takes time. Giving you heads up now because like nobody told me. It takes so much time and it takes a ton of your patience because you'll be angry at every point in time and you'll be doubting what human intelligence is about. But that is it, and you have to make sure that you clean the data regardless. So benefits of data cleaning. The number one benefit of data cleaning is that it ensures accuracy. Data cleaning helps in enhancing the accuracy of a data set by identifying and rectifying errors. Inaccurate data would always lead to misleading conclusions and flawed decision making. So, by cleaning the data, we can minimize the risk of making incorrect assumptions or drawing weird insights. So, for example, if they want to say, what is the average amount of money that all of us in this boot camp make? See, for example, um, owing to the fact like from the first day, I knew that like majority of us were students, majority of you guys were students. So like I should have like an expected range of how much you people earn. Let's say I could say like within 30K to like let me weird range, right? Let's say from within 30K to 150K, right? That should be like the range that the students, people that are students in this boot camp earn. But let's say now, for example, Dangote's son, for whatever reason, now joins this boot camp. And obviously, I'm not sure does Dangote have a son. Let's just assume. Okay. Dangote's son now joins this boot camp for whatever reason. And because he already works with his dad in the refinery and his dad pays him 5 million naira every month. So now if you want to find the average amount that all of you make, the average might now be around, let's say like 1 million or 2 million. That'll be the average. But then that is not the truth of what is going on with everybody because majority of people do not earn close to that amount. Majority of people earn within 30K to 150K. But because you are calculating the average and Dangote's son is like 5 million, earns like 5 million naira every single month, the data set is going to get skewed. So basically, what you now be having is Dangote's son in this situation is what you call an outlier. So you cannot make decisions based on an outlier. So let me give you an example. So the reason why I wanted to find out how much people earn is because, let's say I want to start selling perfumes to you people. And there are perfumes of different types. You can get cheap perfumes, like cheap oil perfumes for like 500. And then there are expensive perfumes that cost like maybe like 200,000, 500,000. So now, because I have done my, in quotes, research, and from my data now, I now find out that the average amount of money that people in this boot camp used to make is 1 million naira. I'm now coming to sell designer perfumes for you people. I'm coming to sell Chanel perfumes for you guys. I'm coming to sell YSL perfumes for you guys. These are perfumes that cost like, the cheapest will cost like 150,000 naira, or 300,000 naira for each one of these perfumes. And you guys cannot afford it. If anybody can even afford the perfume in this situation, is Dangote's son. And he's only one person. So that's not good business for me. I want a situation where more people can buy my perfumes. So if I remove Dangote's son as the outlier, now I understand the kind of data I have. And I understand that, oh, people earn only within 30K to 150K. And because of that, I don't want to be selling perfumes of 30K, because that's somebody like's entire salary. So I'll probably go for cheaper perfumes. Probably go for cheaper perfumes of maybe like 500, 1,000, 5K, she gets. So that's just why, like, cleaning your data is very important. So now imagine I went to go and stock perfumes, buy perfumes of 300,000 naira, 500,000 naira. Nobody can buy it. Do you understand? So that's why it's important for you to clean your data. And that is how it ensures accuracy. The next is enhancing reliability. Clean data is more reliable and trustworthy for analysis. So when you remove inconsistencies, when you remove inaccuracies, it increases people's confidence in the data, because your data is reliable, and whatever result you get after your data would also be reliable, and you can make informed decisions as a result. So the next point is data consistency and coherence. Inconsistent or conflicting data can hinder meaningful analysis. So, inconsistent data is a situation where, for example, there's a column now for age. You are collecting all the data of all the students in this bootcamp, and there's a column for age. So now I can write my age there. Let's say I'm 54 years old. I can write my age 54, 5 and number 4. Demola will write his own age as, let's say Demola is 42. Demola now writes his age as 42, spells 42, FORTYTWO. Muazu now writes his own. Muazu is, let's say, 75. Muazu now writes his age 75, number 7, number 5. Then now put years old, YEARSOLD. Then Emmanuel now writes his own age as 43 years old. So he now puts 4, number 4, number 3. Then instead of spelling years as in WEARS, he will now put YRS. All of this data in this column now, it's all ages. Everybody has written ages here, but we wrote it in different ways. So if we're going to analyze the data now, the data is neither numbers, is neither numeric, nor is it alphabetic, because there are numbers inside, there are letters inside. And even the letters that they wrote, some people wrote their own with years at the ending, others did not write their own with years at the ending. We all know it's age. So what's the use of the years? Do you understand? So like, all this inconsistency, incoherence is not something that we need. So before the end of the class, we're going to do a practical example. I'm going to show you a data set of how, like, where all these mistakes are in a particular data set. It's just a small data set where these particular examples are, and how we can actually like spot these things, and how we can clean them and minimize errors. So the next thing is minimizing bias. Minimizing bias. So data cleaning helps in identifying and addressing bias in the data set. And bias can basically like lead to skewed results, unfair results, and this can impact decision making. So for example, um we are collecting we're collecting data on mortality rates in on pregnancy mortality rate. So that's basically like how many people die during pregnancy, either like the mother or the child. Mostly the child. How many children die after giving birth? If you are collecting your data sets only in Nasarawa, that's Nasarawa area of Kano, you know that mortality rate is going to be very low because there are good hospitals there, there are better doctors there, there's better facilities there than if you compare it to one village where they don't have a hospital, they don't have doctors. It's just one it's just one old mama that that used to help them to give birth to children. You know, obviously the mortality rate there is in the village is going to be higher because they don't have good care, right? But if you collect your data set only from the people that live in Nasara, what you tell the government is, government, we don't need any help with anything because the women are healthy, they are giving birth well, and everything is fine. Everybody's okay. But that's not the truth because there are people in the villages that are not getting proper health care. They don't even know what a hospital looks like. They don't have doctors. It's only just one or two quacks here and there that are just helping them survive. Right. So you do not want bias in your data set. So by the time you're going through the cleaning process, you're looking at everything, it now help you see that, oh, we need more data from these villages. We don't have enough data from these other local governments. Let us go and get it. Then the next point is increased trust. Clean data inspires confidence and trust in the data itself and the subsequent decision making process. If you clean your data properly, you can be confident enough that if executives go ahead to make decisions with this data, their decisions will be correct. Because analysis is all about helping people make decisions. If you do analysis now and you only collect data um from hospitals in Nasarawa about pregnancy mortality, you cannot be confident that people in the villages are not affected by this problem, right? Because your data is skewed, your data has bias, and you don't want that to be the case. You want people to be able to make future predictions. You want people to be able to guess things in the future. Just like let's even use like the flood situation that happened last year. The flood situation that happened last year was really, really bad, and it affected several states that normally flood doesn't even disturb them before. But like because of one thing that led to another thing, there was flooding everywhere. So based on history, right? Based on data, we know that there are certain states that are prone to having floods more than others. So for example, Kogi State is like a constant, there's flood. Kaduna State, almost like a constant, there's flood like every year. You know that different states have flood like every single year. But there are some states that it's not every year. Unless the flooding is unless the rain was like very, very intense or something happened, and that's when the flooding gets serious. So like last year with the whole dam situation that happened, and there was just an extra like flood that like more than before. I'm sure everybody like saw the news. It was really bad, right? Even Kogi State that normally gets flooded. Everybody knows Kogi State gets flooded every year. But the flooding this time around was worse, right? It was getting to places that normally it wouldn't have gotten to. So historically, we already know the states that would always have flood, right? So I think that this is where Kaduna State made a really, really good decision, Kaduna State government, where they had to like drench the river Kaduna basically. And so what happened was when the floods came, which they did, it did not affect Kaduna as badly as it would have if they didn't do it. The flooding was basically like you could say like still at the same level as the flooding was in previous years, right? Because they had data and they were able to make trusted decision based on that data. Right. So for other states that did not take action, like Kogi State and all the other states that had warnings, even Lagos State that had warnings that this year's flooding is going to be worse, but they did not take the right decisions that they were supposed to take. So like that's on them, right? Um, but like if you now go and collect wrong data, completely wrong data, and you now tell everybody, no, don't worry, this year there's no flood. Everybody should chill in their house. And all of a sudden, flood comes and packs everybody. You know they will come for you. Government is going to come and tell you that you're the one that lied and told us that there will not be flood, but now there's flood and everywhere scattered. We'll sue you to court, or you pay for damages, or you go to prison, or some. You get. So that's why it's like really important for you to get like good data and for you to clean your data. Cleaning data is like super important. Like you cannot like do without it. Then finally, on the benefit of data cleaning is improved operational efficiency. Clean data allows for more efficient data analysis processes. It helps to remove irrelevant or redundant data so people can focus on more high quality information and handle missing values and outliers appropriately. And basically, analysts can streamline their efforts and save time and computational resources. So when your data is clean, when you clean your data, you just basically like improve your operational efficiency. You can do things faster and quicker like once your data is clean. So even when you're doing your data visualization and drawing all the nice charts and everything, right, you don't want a situation where you're now seeing funny things in your data. So when your data is clean, everything is usually like goes rather smoothly. So another thing that I want you to note is like you cannot clean your data 100%. And here's why. So some data sets have like millions of rows, millions and billions of rows and columns, right? So you can't see everything. So you can't see everything. You can't notice all the inconsistencies all at once. You can't notice the errors. You can't notice the errors all at once, right? But the most important thing is that you clean it as much as you can. As long as you notice an error, as long as you notice an outlier, as long as you notice a duplicate, you get rid of it. You solve the problem. Right. But it would be wrong for you to notice a mistake and not correct it. If you don't notice it and it slips through the cracks, which more often than not it happens, that's a little bit acceptable. Just a little bit. Because sometimes those little errors can cause problems. But make sure that the problems or the mistakes that you notice in the data is not something that you ignore deliberately. Okay. So next is common data quality issues. So data quality issues, these are like common mistakes you can find in data all the time. They're different ones, but for the most part, these are the four major ones you would notice. The first is missing data. The data is not there, right? Maybe like a column is missing, or a whole row is missing, or just one cell is missing. Sometimes things get missing, and you need to find out why is it missing. Is it that the data was not collected, or is it that the data is actually not missing, it's just absent, right? So for example, if there's a survey now and let's say always comes and there's a survey and they're like, how many days does a period last? I'm supposed to have an answer. Mazu is not supposed to have an answer. Do you get? So if his if his cell, if his response in that place is empty, is missing in quotes, then you have to find out, is Mazu a male or a female? If Mazu is a male, which he is, then it's fine for that particular data to be missing. Okay, but if it's not, if it's a female, that's when you can say, okay, that data is missing, and let's just go and ask Mazu, why didn't you respond to it? Or oh, in case he forgot, like this is what the answer is. So sometimes the missing data is something you can fill in with data. Sometimes it's something that you should delete completely, delete the entire row, or it's something that is not applicable to that particular person. And the second is duplicate data. Duplicate data basically speaks for itself. It's when the data is repeated two times. That's just it's simple. Two or three times, even four or five times. Then the third one is inconsistent data. Inconsistent data is basically the example that I gave you guys with that age column, where everybody was doing their own village thing and just answering questions open-endedly. Then the fourth one is outliers. So outliers is the same with the example that I gave of Dangote's son joining our boot camp, where his salary is very, very far from what like every other person earns on average. So that's an outlier. So now, when you have missing data, when you have duplicate data, when you have things wrong with your data, basically, how do you end up handling this? Sorry, can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, yes, we can hear you, Joy.
Okay, great. Thank you. So next is handling missing data. So handling missing data, there are two like major ways to handle missing data. First, for you to remove the missing data in itself, just remove it, get rid of it completely. So Mazu, for example, now does not get a period. So obviously you can remove his whole thing. But just remove it. It's not important to us anymore. Then the next one is imputation. So I'm not sure how sensitive you guys are here, but permit me to use this as an example. Mazu, please don't be angry. I'm using your name for this example. So let's say Mazu is transgender, right? And he insists, like all the trans women have been insisting lately, that they are women compulsorily. I'm not a huge fan of that, by the way. But let's say Mazu insists that Mazu, please don't come for me, by the way. Um, so Mazu insists that no, the fact that he looks like a man does not mean that he does not get a period. He gets his period every month. So now when I ask him Mazu, okay, oh, we know you're lying, but how many days does your period last? So now Mazu can now think about, okay, what is the average number of days, because he's lying, right? It's like, what's the average number of days a woman gets her period? So he could say maybe like 4, right? So that's what he will now use, because that's the average. Will now use, okay, my own is 4 days. They should write it there for him. So that is something we call imputation. So imputation is basically, instead of deleting the missing value or ignoring it, and like I said earlier, like there are sometimes that the missing value is not actually missing, it's just not applicable. Do you understand? It's not applicable to that person. I gave an example of that already. So imputation now is just, you could say something like guessing, but it's not just anyhow guessing. It's a calculated like method to put to make sure that that value is not missing, and you put something inside there, like the way Maz is trying to lie. So you could use mean. Mean is like the average. Median is the middle. Then mode is the highest occurring. So these are things that I would also give you an assignment on that for you to go back and read more about it and find out when you can use either mean, median, or mode to replace a missing value. So these are the ways to handle missing values. Then the next one is to handle duplicate data. So personally, my the go-to solution for missing data is deduplication. That's just delete it. Don't stress yourself. Delete it and keep it moving. Okay. Um, but the next one is also fuzzy matching. So fuzzy matching is basically like identifying or handling similar things. They are not identical duplicates, but they are similar. So for example, 43 years old, somebody writes 43 years old as 44 YRS old. Then somebody writes another thing that it's 42 42 YRS old. So you that you're seeing the data, because you know that the people that you collected the data from are from your village, and all of you used to behave one kind together. So you know that YRS and years of YEARS are the same. You could just use fuzzy matching to match them together. So you just basically write the script, or you could even do it like Excel or Google Sheets and just like, okay, if you see this thing and you see this thing together, although they look different, they are the same. Join them together. Okay, so that's the second way to handle duplicate data. The next is handling outliers. So with outliers like Dangote's son coming to join us, if you want to make any proper decisions with that, the easiest thing is to remove him. Right? Because like what are you even doing with us anyways? Like your daddy already has money, please get out of here. Or you could actually use other like robust statistical methods, right? You could use like a logarithmic function or a power transformation, all of that, like really, really like long things to do. So, but for a lot of times, you can do away with outliers. But in terms when you need those outliers to make decisions, then you can do other like mathematical transformations. Those things are a bit more advanced, but I think the easiest way, majority of the time, is to just like remove it and keep it going. If you want to get advanced, then there are other like mathematical transformations you could do. Then the final type of like data quality issue is inconsistent data. So now how do you handle inconsistent data? The first thing is standardization. So standardization means ensuring consistent units of measurement, format, naming convention, etc. is used across the data set. So for example, that age column that I told you about, that I gave an example with. So the age column is basically saying for age, put um there's 43, there's 43 years old. Some people are writing theirs as numbers, some are writing theirs as alphabets, all of that, all of that. So now it is your role as data analyst to clean the data and choose, okay, I want to clean this data and make everything into words, or I want to clean this data and make sure that everything is numbers. So that is standardization, and you can do that. Then the second thing you could also do is data validation rules. So with data validation rules, you solve the problem before the problem comes. So for example, you are giving people survey, some write this survey and fill in your name, fill in your number. So if you are filling any form, I'm sure you've noticed it before, when it comes to age part, they will bring out a calendar for you to choose your dates, or they'll make sure that your keyboard, by the time you click on age, your keyboard shows only numbers. Or even when you want to type your phone number, your keyboard shows only numbers instead of like alphabets don't show anymore. But that is a data validation rule. So that before the thing will become a problem for you, you're already tackling it. That we only want numbers for this field, and that is all what we want. Then next is cross-referencing. So cross-referencing is basically like, okay, this data is looking weird. I don't understand what is going on. Then you go and cross-reference the data with other external sources. So for example, you are doing an analysis on Nigeria's GDP. And the GDP that you're seeing from that your company gave you to analyze, the GDP is, they said that the Nigeria's GDP is, let's say, 1,000 naira. Like the whole of Nigeria's GDP cannot be 1,000 naira. We know that Buhari has not exactly been a great president, but the whole GDP of Nigeria cannot be 1,000 naira. So what you can do with this inconsistent data situation is that you can cross-reference. CBN has an official website where you can check Nigeria's GDP. Same thing with Bureau of Statistics, and you can check out Nigeria's GDP and find out that, oh, okay, I think what my company gave me is wrong, and let me go and look for external sources that can back up and all give me the like correct facts. So this is the end of the slide. Now we will actually be going to like the practical session for today, and we're going to be looking at a data set.
Hello, Joe.
Okay,
Can I ask a question?
oh sure, yeah, sure.
Okay, you mentioned the methods like you are going to follow for if you are going to handle a missing data, and you mentioned the removal and imputation. So what if in the
Yeah.
case like you are working for a manager or something, then he asks you to clean the data and you came up missing data? Are you
Yeah.
like just going to, if you find a missing, are you just going to, if you are dealing with an imputation, the way I understood it, like you can either use the mean or moderate or something to find the average of that you're using. So in terms
Yeah.
of ethical concern, is there like, it's kind of, is it bad or a good thing like you have to do in this case?
Okay, in terms of ethical consent. Okay, so this is a very great question. So the first thing is you need to talk to your manager about this, right? So that's why like what's it called, technical know-how is like also really good. And if you don't even have that technical know-how, it's fine. You could always talk to like your manager or a senior analyst in the company and stuff. So depending on the kind of data you're working with, that would determine what you will do when you find a missing value. So for example, if it's a health data you're dealing with, health data is mostly tricky, right? So for the most part, if something is missing, they will tell you to delete it. Just get rid of it if something is missing, because it's health and you don't want to be putting things that are not existing there. So let's say, for example, in a missing, if you're working in a maybe like logistics company, for example, and the total, let's say somebody buys, let me see, what can I even use as an example? Somebody buys eggs, you have a provision shop, somebody buys eggs, the person buys one crate of eggs. Let's just say one egg, because I'm not even sure how much all these things cost anymore. Let's say the person comes to buy one egg in your shop, right? A provision shop, you are always supposed to input the data and all of that and all of that and all of that. So the sales girl writes the person's name and writes that they bought one egg, but she forgot to write the price and she went home. You are now looking through the data and you're like saying that, oh, price of egg is not here, oh. But you already know the price of egg. So you can just put it 19 naira or 18 naira. Or you can look through the data and find out what is the average price of egg. Maybe your shop is in ShopRite or is in Wellcare, where things are always generally more expensive. And like, oh, the average price of eggs in this particular provision shop is 100 naira. So you now put it one egg, 100 naira. So now you see in these two situations, the data is missing. Yes. For one, you can impute the data, which is in this egg situation now. You can impute the data because you already like have guidance. You already probably have like knowledge of how much egg cost, or you can do like an average of how much egg costs in the whole data set and you can impute the data. But in a situation where it is health, you don't want to be making guesses. It's health data at all. So it's usually advisable to delete those things. Like just if it's just one row that is there, you can delete it. But if it's a situation where it's like 1,000 rows that are missing, that's a big problem, right? So you have to bring it back to your manager now and say that, okay, 1,000 rows is missing and 1,000 rows is too much to be missing, right? So it's either we tell the people that collected data, go back to the field and collect it, or you go back to the hospital and recollect data because something went wrong here, something went wrong there. So these are like the different situations. So in a medical setting, it will probably be unethical for you to fill in those data by yourself because you don't know the actual situation that happened, and we tend not to like guessing in those kind of situations. But in like a provision shop where you have data that could show you the average and stuff, it's not unethical, right? And you could just like help out with the analysis and keep it moving. I hope this answers your
Okay.
question.
Yes, very much. Thank you very much.
Okay, you're welcome. Great. Yeah. So yeah, looking at my screen, there's like a really small like mock data set here. So the data set is basically for shipping, like what Ademola used last time for logistics. So this particular company has, for every order you have, there's an order ID, there's product name, that's the name of what you ordered, there's the price, there's the quantity of what you ordered, and there is also is quantity of what you ordered, and there's also like your shipping address and the delivery date for the person. So now if you look at this data, clearly from the very first thing you see like some places are empty, right? Some don't have dates, some in this situation the data are inconsistent. There's also duplicate data as well. There's also hmm, I accidentally deleted this thing. Can you imagine? Sorry, 1 second. Okay. So great. Now let's look at this, right? The first thing is, okay, let's just bring it open to the floor. Everybody can talk. Um, you could just unmute your mic if you want to speak. Unmute your mic and tell me one data inconsistency, just one data inconsistency, and where it is, what the data inconsistency is, and where it is. So anybody can start.
All right. Um, the monitor has a missing data. That's for the price.
Okay.
So I can say it's
That's
a
for the
data
price.
inconsistency.
It's actually a missing data. Yeah, but
Oh,
great observation. Great observation. Okay. So who else wants to say something?
Okay, in the delivery dates, there are
Yeah.
the dates were written in different format. Like for the third one, I think. Yeah, the third one has May 13th, and the others have year,
I
month,
have
and date. So that's
exactly.
inconsistent data.
Exactly. Correct. Um
okay. Can
who
I
else
also
wants to say
observe
something?
under the
Yeah.
delivery dates, the way it's been arranged? I think the May is not that the indentation are different.
Yeah. That's also like still part of like the inconsistency as well. So yeah, correct observation. Who else wants to add something that has not been mentioned already?
Yeah, and quantity is also missing for mouse on the second
On
column. Sorry, second, yeah, column. Quantity.
second row.
Yes, second row.
Yeah. Yes, correct.
Okay, in the price section, the third
Yeah.
one is looking way too high for two what monitor.
For two monitors. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So
Great
that's an
observation.
outlier.
That's probably an outlier. That's a good
Yeah.
observation as well. Um, okay. So thank you all for your observations. Now we're going to be walking through the observations together. Okay. So one observation that I noticed that like some of you didn't mention is the shipping address. Some shipping addresses are duplicates. So main streets, there's two main streets, there's two ELM streets as well. Same number, same everything. So it's possible that it's the same house that they are ordering from, or it's actually possible that something is wrong. We need to confirm. Right. So for example, now with this and then this, these are basically duplicates. It's the same house. They are all ordering for a mouse, and the mouse cost them 19.99, and they have two different delivery dates, but it's the same house and it's the same item. So you could reach out to the customer now in this situation and ask, like, did you actually order this item twice or you made a mistake? Because we don't want a situation where you the customer receives something two times and only pays you once. Your company is not going to be making profit. We don't want that happening, right? So in this situation, you cannot just this is duplicate data, and you cannot just delete it, right? Because the person might actually order for two different types of mouse. Because if you look, the data is not like very doesn't have plenty columns, just a few. So it's possible that the person orders for two different types of mouse, and mouses are different, obviously, right? So it's possible that the person knows what they are doing, or they made a mistake. So you have to confirm. Then when you confirm, and let's say now, for example, ding, 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 we call the customer. The customer's like, "Oh, I'm very sorry, I made a mistake. Da, 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 da. I only want one order." So you can choose to delete one of the others. So one is coming, one is arriving on the 12th, the other one is arriving on the 16th. So I think it's better for us to delete the one on the 16th because everybody wants their things to be delivered quickly. So we can just delete this duplicate data. Simple. And keep it moving. Then the next is the price for, is the quantity, rather, quantity for mouse that this person wants. Okay, so from the previous data, we could do, let me just do Ctrl Z for this quickly. So this doesn't have quantity, right? But this does. So since we've confirmed that, oh, it's the same customer and they made a mistake and all of that, we could just like match, use like fuzzy matching to match these two. Of course, data is not big, we can use our hand to do it. Then you just type 4 here and just replace it. Very simple. Then you delete this one. That's that. Then the next is monitors. Monitors are generally more expensive, right? If you have a monitor, you know that like it's expensive. It's more expensive than a keyboard, and it's definitely more expensive than a definitely more expensive than a mouse, obviously. So this person orders for a monitor, 2 monitors actually, and the price is 249.99. Someone else orders for a single monitor. Now in this case, just like I'm not sure who asked the question now, but the person asked like, can we fill in, where in which situations can we fill in data by ourselves? So now because this person ordered two monitors and the price is 249.99, then that means what would be the price of one? The price of one is 249.99 divided by 2. So you could just impute it quickly. 249.99 all divided by 2. And there you have it. This is the price of one monitor. You've imputed it by yourself. And this is not a mistake. This is not like a mistake or anything, because like this was actually a calculated input, right? So this was not the mode or the mean in this situation. This was just a calculation based on division and based on the fact that you can see this and you can observe. Another mistake here is this date. Date looks weird, right? It's not in the same format that all the other dates are. So we can just easily correct this and put 2023 05. I think the date there was 13. Yeah. And the date is in the same format as every other thing. So yeah, I think that's that for the most part. I think we've not cleaned the whole data completely, but I think we've handled all the inconsistencies I talked about. That's duplicate data, inconsistent data, outliers, and okay, yeah, outliers is the one we've not handled. So in this situation now, I think this was like this slight mistake I made. There's actually no outlier here because monitors are generally more expensive. But if we're seeing a keyboard that's costing, let's just even do like an assumption here. Let's say a keyboard that costs 1,000, 10,000, right? So something is definitely wrong for a keyboard to be costing 10,000. So you know that this is an outlier. Probably it's a new Logitech keyboard that has like lights and everything, and the keyboard is all fancy and cute. Then that's when you can say, okay, probably it's right or it's wrong, and you could just um get rid of the outlier. But in this situation, you can't just get rid of the outlier because it's probably somebody that is very, very rich or somebody that is very, very tech inclined, and like, okay, this keyboard is very expensive, it's the most expensive keyboard in the world, but I want it. So if you confirm the order and the order is correct and everything, then you just go ahead, you put the quantity. The person wants one, the person's house is in Lekki, and their delivery date is going to be on the 23rd. And you just confirm it, put their order number, and that's it. So what we're going to do next is that either by Saturday, today's Saturday already, sorry, either by Sunday or Monday, I will send you guys a data set. And this is your assignment for the week. It's going to be a data set. It's going to be way bigger than this one. And I want you to identify all the inconsistencies in the data, as many inconsistencies as you can. Identify the inconsistencies in the data. And when you do identify those inconsistencies in data, tell me what you did to solve them. Excuse me, tell me what you did to solve them. So is it that you deleted it, or you looked for the average, or you looked for a mode, or you would try to confirm if it was your company, you go ahead and try to confirm and stuff. So I would like to know your approach. If the data has like an inconsistent column, what did you do to like unify everything? So I want to see all of that. I want to know how you do all of that. And there's also like a shortcut. Not really a shortcut. I wouldn't really call it a shortcut though. But there are ways you could actually just like find out column statistics quickly and just see, and just this is just like a really cool shortcut that I use to just understand my data quickly. And it just gives you like a summary, a quick summary of what is going on in your data. So you could do this as well. So basically, how to get this, if you use Google Sheets, with Excel is a different way to get it. You just like right click on it, then you just come to column stats. Then it gives you the like a quick summary of what's going on in the column. If there's a missing data in the column, all of that nice information. So be expecting a data set from me on Monday slash Sunday or Monday, depending on how my schedule goes. Then so you can work on your own data set. Um, what else? Then your second assignment would be to study about um mean, mode, and median. So mean, mode, and median in statistics are called measures of center tendency. And what measures of center tendency, especially in this situation, do is that they help you know when you want to fill in missing data, for example, you now know, okay, what am I going to fill it with? Am I going to fill it with the mean? Am I going to fill it with the mode? Am I going to fill it with the median? Right. So these are measures of central tendency. So that's what you're going to study, measures of central tendency. Then I'll give you a data set to work with. And you just basically find out all the data quality issues that the data set has and how you would solve it. So yeah, that's it. So does anybody else have any questions? If you have a question, you could just unmute your mic and ask me quickly.
Hi.
Hi.
So my question is, the other time you said we should study about mean, median, and mode, and when to use each one to impute data. So, um, I mean, do we have to study that on our own, or
Yeah. You studied on your own.
okay?
Me, please.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So unfortunately, I've been struggling with network issue for today. But I think I got the first assignment about the data set.
Yeah.
To clean the data sets, like perform the necessary cleaning activities on them, or just figure out the faults about list the steps. So all we have to actually perform the cleaning activities.
So here's the thing. I want you to the best of your ability, right? Notice what the problems are, right? Notice what the data quality issues are. Try your best to solve them. Then write out how you solved those problems, right? But next
Oh,
week, we're going
okay.
to have a practical class on all of this. So we're going to start next week. We're going to do EDA, that's exploratory data analysis next week. So we're going to be doing charts, a few charts here and there, just trying to understand the whole data set itself. And we'll be cleaning the data set together, all of that nice things next week. But I want you to try it on your own, right? Try cleaning data on your own. Let's see. If you struggled with anything, you can bring it up during the class. If you struggled on how to put in the mean, or you struggled on how to use like maybe like calculations with Excel or something, whatever it is that the challenge you faced was, you could bring it back and we'll settle it next week. This does not mean that you should not try because I said we're going to do it together next week. No, try it. Then if it doesn't work, then we can talk about it together.
Oh, all right.
Okay. So, any more questions?
Yes. Hello, Joy.
Hi.
Yeah, my question is kind of a general question. I don't know if I should even ask it. Like, I wanted to ask, like, how is life as a general, like, how is it, like, in a typical life of a data analyst, like, in a day hacker, how is it like? Do you
Okay.
understand my
So
question?
first, you understand your question. First of all, I thought you wanted to ask me. I thought you wanted to attack me for using you for that example, but thank God we're safe.
Oh,
Uh, yeah. So a day in my life. So let me just give you like a vivid example of what happens in my life. I'm not a morning person. I don't like waking up early. So generally, I don't wake up to like 9 a.m. or 10 a.m. All of this that I'm waking up early for you people to do all of this is sacrifice because I don't wake up early. I don't know. It's just not me. So when I wake up early, definitely I pray and all. I work remotely, so that's a good thing. Um so yeah, what do I do? Oh my god, what do I do? Okay, first thing is to check your emails. Right? You need to check your emails to find out if they've asked you to do something or you need to do one thing or da 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 da. So you check your emails. And it's not every single time there's analysis for you to do, right? So there are times when you're supposed to like write an article. That week what you're writing is an article, or you have to do research. Or you have to do research on a particular topic and all of that. So you need to gather information, you need to study, you need to read and read and read and read and read and read plenty things. Then and this also like largely depends on whatever project you guys are handling at the time. So if you are, let's say like it's International Women's Month, it's sorry, Women's History Month. So all the work that you are going to be doing that particular month, probably you'll be researching about women in data and in data field, what they've done. You just be reading about them, reading about their research papers, talking about it and all of that. Right. But in a situation where you guys are actually like analyzing work for a particular project, what you do is like usually there's team meetings depending on how frequently your team meetings are. You have a team meeting, you talk to every member of your team. And okay, so let me give you an example of a particular project I was working on and how that went. um so we used to have team meetings every Wednesday, and what we'll do every Wednesday is that like we'll have like a circle round. Everybody will talk about the project. It's a big project, and different people are handling like different aspects of the project. So I could be handling the data cleaning of the project. Somebody else is handling data visualization. Another person is handling what could that be now? Another person is handling probably like uploading it to a website and how to design the website, right? Another person is doing press for it, like media and publicity, how to make sure that okay, this dashboard that we built, people see it and government officials get to know the work we've done. So if I'm on the team that does data cleaning, first of all, they'll have to give me the data. So there's also somebody that will probably be on the data collection team that will collect the data. Then they give me the data. And when they give me the data, they also give me with something called the data dictionary. So data dictionary basically like contains the meaning of all the columns. So for example, this order ID, shipping address, and all of that, there's supposed to be a data dictionary that explains what these things mean. So I'm giving all of that with the data dictionary. And my responsibility now is to clean the data. So I'll clean the data just like I've explained to you guys on what to do, where to remove duplicates. Sometimes the data could be big, like could be in like let's say like 10 different files, and you have to like clean every single file, then merge them together and create like this big omnibus data set, right? So for some reason, I don't know, my responsibility always ends up being cleaning data. I don't like it though, but like somehow that's always my responsibility. Then
Okay.
when you're done, yeah, so when I'm done cleaning the data, what I do is like I hand over the data to the person that would be analyzing the data. So this person now does the analysis and all of that. Then we, during team meetings, our work is to also critique each other's work. So if I clean the data, and for example, there was a time where they needed zip codes, right? So I cleaned the data, I finished cleaning everything. In my mind, my work has finished, so let me just be looking at everybody else. But they were like, okay, no, you need to add zip codes. So you have to go back to the data, and it's almost like starting afresh because it's a whole column that's no longer there. So you need to add zip codes and everything. So it's just like a back and forth consistently. Then the person that's also doing data visualization, all of us will look at the visualization. Okay, the colors you are using don't go well. This analysis, we think this is irrelevant. These are the questions we want the data to ask. And yeah, another thing, like Mazu, like your your sound is kind of like interfering. Sorry.
Okay, sorry.
No, it's fine. Then another thing we do is like at the beginning of the meeting, this is like absolutely beginning before we even like start the project fully, is that we talk about the questions we want to answer with the data set. Right. And I think we handled that, I think like last week. The questions, how to ask questions about your data sets, how to get answers. So like when we're asking these questions, and what we start doing the analysis, we start cleaning data and everything, we're making sure that we're still doing this in the same line. So anybody that now is now like doing the analysis, we're not like, okay, babes, this analysis that you did does not answer the question that we have in the first place, so you can delete it. Or do your analysis like this. Or instead of a pie chart, do a map so everybody can see how each state is performing and all of that. So all of that back and forth until everything is ready. Then when everything is ready, we give it to like the web developer, because there are times, depending on the dashboard, some some dashboards cannot just be like on a website straight. It needs to be like, there's a way they do their thing. The web developers will do their thing and host like that particular dashboard. Then it's now on the website and all. Then by the time it's done, we'll now start doing like media releases, talking to government people, telling them that this is what we've done. This is how you can make this better. This is how you can make this with one SDG goal. Da 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 da. So basically, that's what it's like. It's usually not one person, but in this situation, like when you're learning, when you're trying to build your portfolio or something, you are the one that's going to do everything. Data collection, no, data cleaning, data visualization, even the presentation of showing people in public, publishing it on Twitter or LinkedIn. You're the one that gets to do all of that by yourself. But in a situation where you're dealing with data sets that contains information from like all the states in Nigeria, that contains over 1 million roles. You cannot be the only one to do that in that situation, right? You would have a team. So and in your team, you'd have like a particular position where you're supposed to function, and you just do the best work you can do in your team. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you very much. I don't know if you're just up for just one more last question. Sorry, I'm disturbing you.
No, it's fine. Sure.
Okay, like is it better to work like for a job or freelancing? Which one do you think is better?
I think it depends on the person. Right. So there are people that love autonomy, right? You hear people saying that things like, oh me, I don't want to work under any orga or some. Those people, freelancing works for you. It's good, right? But you also have to be careful because like your source of income is not stable. So you need to be better at marketing yourself. You need to be better at all this like Upwork, Fiverr, and all. You need to like connect yourself to the right people, all of that. Then with having a full-time job comes with, okay, your pay is steady, but then you don't get to work on a diverse number of projects. So for example, a freelancer will work on health data sets, marketing data sets, logistics data sets, different kinds of data sets, because anything they give him, that's what he will do. But if you work in a fintech company, all the data set that you ever work with, you leave that company is fintech related. right? So, and then another thing again with freelancing is like a 1 month squad. You do everything from beginning to the end. Or with what's it called now, a full-time job, you mostly have a team. Depending on how big the company is, you mostly have a team and you guys are working together to achieve a specific goal. But it's also like work politics that you have to like maneuver and stuff. You need to make sure you're talking to the right people. You guys will always have meetings and emails and stuff and back and forth. It's annoying sometimes. But yeah, it depends on your personality, right? Anyone works. You can make money from anyone you want. Um, you can have a future and a career path with anyone you choose, but it all depends on you making the best out of it. So yeah, whatever makes you happy, really.
Okay, thank you very much, Joy.
You're welcome.
All right. I think I have a question also. Like,
Okay, sure.
how long did it take you to actually get to where you are? Like, because how long do
Um,
you think it can take someone to be at an entry level?
so I don't know. I don't actually like using this word, but it depends. Do you understand? It depends on a lot of things. So it depends on things like your background, if you have work experience previously. So if you have work experience previously, it's a lot easier for you to get another job, like starting. Because I'm assuming like what you mean by get to where you are is like getting an entry level role. So excuse me. So if you have work experience previously, it's easier for you to get a new role. If you don't have work experience previously, then you're starting from scratch. Then it will take time. But this time can range between anywhere from 6 months to a year. I know people that have gotten a role under 6 months, and not getting a role under 6 months requires a lot of hard work, and it's more difficult than people think. It requires you to show up every single day. It requires you to talk about your work and market yourself and sell yourself on your head like gala. It requires you to take a lot of courses, do a lot of interviews, meet with people, network, so many things, right? It's intense if you want to do it in 6 months. Even if you want to do it in 1 year, same thing. But the ideal range I would give is within 6 months to a year. Yeah.
It's all right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. Is there any additional question?
Yeah, hello, sorry. Can you
Yeah, I
hear
can
me?
hear you.
Uh,
Yeah.
just want to ask you. I don't know your question.
Okay, you are breaking. Any hair question? Sorry.
Do you hear what I said?
No, we didn't hear you. Can you just type it in the chat room instead, please? Just type it. Oh, which state am I based in? Currently, I'm in Kano. Okay, so I guess that's all the questions for today. Yeah, okay. So thank you so much for joining in the class. It's always exciting to talk to you people every week. So, and I hope to see you guys next week. Please do your assignments and just try and freestyle. Next week is going to be really exciting. We've been doing like a lot of talking, but next week we're actually going to like get our hands dirty, do charts, do this, do that, all the fine things like you're always seeing on the internet, on the interwebs. We are going to do all of that next week. That's going to be exciting.